Okay, I think we are live. Hopefully, we are live. We've had some issues earlier with these live streams for whatever reason, not wanting to go over to YouTube, but looks like we are good to go. And yes, you read that title correctly. We are going to get a 2022 Dynasty Startup Draft going. Not only just a regular Dynasty Startup Draft, but earlier this week, I actually went through and made a video on how to set up your 2022 Dynasty League in depth. And something that I talked about is if you were getting a Dynasty Startup Draft going before the NFL Draft, what you needed to be doing is you needed to include rookie picks in your Dynasty Startup Draft. And that's including the rookie pick 101, the 102, the 103, the 104, all the way down. And I had some questions over on Patreon asking how you value those rookie picks in the startup draft. And it's very hard for me to give you just a straightforward answer and saying, okay, well, you want to historically be taking the rookie pick 101 back to the point where you get, say, the beginning of the second round, the end of the third round. We'll get into that exactly on the video. So we're going to be taking kickers where those rookie picks are going to be going because, of course, I don't have the time to go through and set up just the exact list that you would have with the custom players. So we're just going to make it kicker. So once you see the first kicker go off the board, know that that's going to be the first rookie pick. The second kicker, that's going to be the 102. The third kicker, that's going to be the 103. So it should give you a very good idea of how exactly you're going to be valuing those rookie picks in Dynasty. And of course, if you have not done so already, please go down there, drop a like on the live stream. We just sent out a link over there on Patreon to join this draft, and looks like everybody joined it within like 5 seconds. So we're going to be good to go to just start this draft. And something that I need to do real quick is I actually need to pull up my own Dynasty rankings. Let me pull up Patreon one more time. That way I can get my Dynasty rankings up here because, last time we went through and did this with a 30-second timer and we tried to get the live stream and everything going at the same time. It was brutal. It was a tall task to say the least. So let me make sure we have our rankings up here. That way we are not making any horrible picks. Jonas says, Mason, I'm on Patreon. How do I join? Okay, so a big thing is when we get these mock drafts going on Patreon, what I'll do is I'm just going to post a link, say, hey, Dynasty Startup Draft, here's the link. And then just the first 11 people to go through and click that will be in the draft. I apologize, my friend, but it's probably a little bit too late. I'm going to be getting one of these drafts going every single week. So don't worry, you're going to have a ton of chances to get in. And I think also we're probably going to be bumping up the amount of drafts that we're doing because I really want to, here, I know that a lot of people probably want us to go Joe Burrow. If you pull up our Dynasty rankings on Patreon, I'm actually going to have Kyler Murray ahead of Joe Burrow still. If it was a 6-point passing touchdown format, I'd be fine if someone wanted to talk themselves into going Burrow, given the passing touchdown upside that he has with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. But given the fact that we are going to be treating this as if it's a 4-point passing touchdown league, we're going to take Kyler Murray here as he will have a little more rushing upside compared to someone like Joe Burrow. But getting back to what we were saying, I'm going to try to get as many of these mock drafts going on Patreon. I don't know if we're going to be able to live stream every single one of these, but I want to get as many going on Patreon. That way I can create an ADP list for everybody. That way, if we have, say, 2 to 3 drafts every single week and we have like 10 drafts a month, it will be very good for y'all to be able to pull up that ADP list for a 12-team Dynasty Superflex League because, the sleeper ADP here, it's not good. Sleeper obviously is great for Dynasty for so many different reasons, but if you're just looking at their ADP list, it is not good at all. And my God, you got Trey Lance going at the 108. Now, y'all know I love me some Trey Lance. Now, I'm taking Dak Prescott ahead of Trey Lance. I think we finally found someone that likes Trey Lance more than I do. And please, please, please do not think if you want Trey Lance, you have to take him here at the 108. This is just madness here with what you're seeing from Richie Rich. And of course, if you are in a flock draft, you're going to have to take Lance a little bit earlier than you would expect. Now, if you're playing in your own Dynasty Startup Draft, I beg you to go get Trey Lance, given the rushing upside that he has, given the situation he'll be stepping into next year. And even if Trey Lance is a bad real-life NFL quarterback, Trey Lance, from a fantasy perspective, is going to be a Jalen Hurts level rusher that has George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk to throw the ball to, with Kyle Shanahan and a good offensive line. So there's no way in hell, in my opinion, that Trey Lance does not play out for fantasy football. I'm not saying he's going to be a great real life NFL quarterback. I'm expecting him to be a good real life NFL quarterback, but even if he's bad for NFL purposes, he can still be great in fantasy. However, do not take him at the 108. You're going to find in a lot of your own dynasty startup drafts that are super flex this offseason that Trey Lance is going to be going in the middle of the 4th. I would be willing to reach on Trey Lance and take him in the 3rd. Now, you've seen me take him in the 2nd before, but that's just because I'm drafting with you sickos, and if I'm going to be in a draft with y'all, I mean, I kind of have to reach on Trey Lance because you got this craziness going at the 108. But let me send out, actually, we don't even need to send out a link. Let me go through. I'm not even going to change this chat to subscriber only. I know everybody watching this video at this point is subscribed to the channel. And also, please, like I said already, if you have not done so, go down there, drop a like on the live stream. James says, I know it's early, but when rookie fever kicks in, would you try to get Trey Lance for the 101? I think you could trade the 101 for Trey Lance right now in a 12-team Superflex league. Unless I'm mistaken, if you're playing in a flock league, I doubt that you're able to go through and trade the rookie pick 101 for Trey Lance. But I mean, if you're playing in just a regular dynasty fantasy football, I think most people are going to prefer the rookie pick 101. I would definitely take Lance. Jayan says kickers are not available. Okay, let me pause this draft real quick. I am sorry about that. Let me fix this ASAP. Okay, that would be very bad if the entire point of this draft was to see where these kickers are going to be going and then not have them in the draft. Okay, so we just updated this, and we'll also change this over to 30-second timers as well if the draft slows down. But now I think we're going at a good pace. Got Christian McCaffrey going at the 202. I think with Christian McCaffrey, I'm going to be drafting him everywhere in redraft leagues this upcoming season based on the upside that he has. Really is second to none at the running back position, or really at any position. But the risk to take him here when he's going into year 3 of his second contract, as we talk about all the time from a dynasty fantasy football perspective, I don't know if I can get behind it. I think there are a couple other players that I would prefer. You got Javonte Williams, one of those running backs that is on their rookie contract. Of course, you know we love going after them. James says, laugh my ass off. Yeah, it's with my buddies. I'm very tempted to fire that offer over. I've told a lot of people that I'm breaking down their teams on Patreon to go through and trade the 101 for Lance. I just don't necessarily see how it doesn't pan out. I mean, y'all know that, I have some ridiculous Trey Lance hype going, not as much as Richie Rich here, but I'm a little bit biased because we drafted him everywhere last year. Y'all know, our entire stance last year, what I built this channel on was drafting Trey Lance over Justin Fields when Justin Fields was going ahead of him in dynasty rookie drafts, which I thought was laughable. Now maybe we'll take Fields if we get a decent discount on him, but we're not taking him in the 2nd. I can guarantee that. Let's see where Richie Rich goes, taking this clock down. He is, available right now. We'll see if he were to auto draft. We'll know if it's an auto draft pick if you get Alvin Kamara going off the board. Maybe he has someone in his queue that he's putting up. That's sometimes how I'll do, is just put a player in my queue. Yeah, so he goes Austin Eckler. I'd imagine that was not an auto draft pick, given the fact that, you do have Alvin Kamara at the top of ADP instead. Ashton says, Mason, can someone draft the first 5 rookie picks? Yeah, if you wanted to go through and draft the 101, the 102, the 103, you can do that. 100%. Obviously, it's a strategy, but I don't necessarily know how viable it is, but it's something you could look to do. Okay, so now let's go through. You got Alvin Kamara going at the 207. Okay, 1 second. I don't want to talk too much about the secondary options that I'd be looking at with this pick. Okay, I think I know where I'm going. If this is probably on me. I should have specified at the beginning of the live stream if this was going to be a tight end premium league or not. If this was a tight end premium format, I think that I actually may just end up going with Mark Andrews here based on what we saw at the end of the season. But with the assumption that this is not going to be a tight end premium league, I'm actually probably just going to go with a cornerstone wide receiver here in A.J. Brown. Obviously, Brown was, a little disappointing this year with the injuries, but I still think that he has an argument to be made to be a top 3 dynasty wide receiver. Clearly have to have him behind Jamar Chase and behind Justin Jefferson at this point, but an extremely young option that has been historically very efficient his first and second season. And if you look at the injuries for A.J. Brown, I don't necessarily think it's something that we need to be just drastically moving him down our rankings with. I would actually be more willing to move Deebo Samuel down our rankings than I would be with A.J. Brown based on their injury histories. Okay, and yeah, we are going to take A.J. Brown over the rookie pick 101 as well. With the rookie pick 101, something that I want to discuss if you're getting into a dynasty startup right now, or even if you're just talking about going through and possibly making trades. say if we were in a dynasty startup and instead of having these rookie picks as you can take the first kicker and you can get the rookie pick 101, you can take the second kicker and you can get the rookie pick 102. And instead you actually had to go out there and you had to pick those rookies right now. You have to go, you know what? I'm going and I'm taking Treylon Burks. I'm taking Breece Hall. I'm taking Matt Corral, whoever your 101 may be. If you had to actually take them in this draft instead of having the option to pivot elsewhere this offseason, that individual rookie, Treylon Burks, and I know this sounds very dumb right now. If you go over to Patreon and you pull up my updated Dynasty Patreon rookie rankings, you're going to see that I have Treylon Burks ranked as our number one rookie at this point. We're recording this on January 17th. However, if you had to ask me where we're taking Treylon Burks in this startup draft, I probably would end up taking Treylon Burks in the 4th round. And if you ask me where we're going to be taking the rookie pick 101 in this startup draft, probably in the 3rd. There's a big difference between having the optionality with that rookie pick 101 at this point of the offseason and having more flexibility in trade talks, as well as if something occurs with a landing spot, if we get just a different player emerging throughout the NFL Combine with their draft capital maybe being surprising. I mean, say if you have Matt Corral going as a top 3 pick in the NFL draft this year and surprising everyone. I mean, if you have those outside variables, I would definitely prefer having the flexibility of with that rookie pick 101. I mean, you can trade that to anybody. Not only can you trade that to anybody, but I mean, also it may not necessarily be the player you're expecting right now. So if you're talking about rookie value, a rookie pick is actually going to be a lot more valuable at this point than having to select the actual rookie at this time. I know that's crazy, but the rookie pick 101 has a lot more value than Treylon Burks does, even though at this time, Treylon Burks is my number 1 ranked rookie. Okay. So let's go through, and Jayan says, I assumed it was tight end premium considering every other mock and league you have is one. Every league I play in is tight end premium, definitely. And I'll say, Jayan, I would take Kyle Pitts at the 206 if I were you as well. I mean, I think that this is a fine pick with Kyle Pitts, regardless of if it's tight end premium or not. You got Joe Mixon at the 301, Devontae Adams at the 302. Okay, so here you actually have, we got someone's name here. I don't know who this is. I know he joined the draft earlier today when I was messing up with the live stream. But here he goes with a little bit of a win now build with Cooper Kupp and Joe Mixon. Got another win now piece going off the board with Devontae Adams at the 302, assuming that Devontae Adams gets franchise tagged, stays in Green Bay this offseason. Okay, so Woo coming out says, when do you think the best time for a startup draft is? I think the best time for a startup draft is as soon as the season ends, because at this point, and this is something that, I mean, not too many people understand, but if you just have played Dynasty long enough, you know that right after the season ends, I mean, right now, there are going to be so many differing opinions on players that consensus value is not going to be set. Whereas if you give it 3 months for everybody to go through, just dive in deep on what happened this season, to go out on their YouTube channels, to go out on their podcasts, to go out in their fantasy football Discord chats and their group me chats, to talk in their league chats, and just talk what they think with Dynasty Fantasy Football and see thousands and thousands of trades go through, you're eventually going to come to a consensus by the time we get to May where everybody's rankings, they kind of are a little bit similar. Where right now, I mean, just to be completely transparent with how I make those Dynasty Patreon rankings, and I actually do this throughout the entire season. This isn't how I did it last year, but I really want to just completely avoid any bias in my rankings. I'm not looking at any other rankings. And if there were rankings for me to pull up and look at, they're not going to be good at all. You really have to go off the own players that you're convicted in and your own analysis at this time of the season, which is why I prefer to use this time to get into Dynasty startup drafts. Okay, so you got Jalen Waddle going at the 304. And I think maybe's now the time. Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, if we're looking at the receivers on the board, yeah, if we're looking at Mark Andrews, I guess we could go Andrews here. No, I'm going to prefer the rookie pick 101. And as I've said, I mean, here, if we had to take Treylon Burks, if you ask me right now, Mason, do you want Treylon Burks or Mark Andrews? Give me Mark Andrews. But if you're going to give me the optionality to be able to use that rookie pick 101 in trade throughout the entire offseason, and at the same time have the potential for a player to emerge halfway through the year, I think taking the rookie pick 101 in a 12-team Dynasty Superflex startup at the 305 is going to be completely fine in my book. Yes, I would prefer it over J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, Matthew Stafford going at the 307 as well. I think just speaking of strictly Dynasty Fantasy Football trade value, and yeah, we have seen years in the past. I mean, the perfect example, and I don't want to say that this year looks like 2017, because 2017, I mean, every player within the top 6 picks is better than what you have right now in the 2022 draft class. But 2017 was a perfect example of a draft class that really had no top option. I mean, you had guys like Leonard Fournette, I mean, Christian McCaffrey, Joe Mixon, you had Dalvin Cook, so many talented players, but you had a top tier of about 6 guys that you were looking at in that draft class, where if you were pulling up, just say you were playing in 15 different dynasty leagues, I'd imagine that's about how many leagues I was playing in 2017. You can pull up every rookie draft and they're all going to look different. I mean, they're all going to have a different order for that top 6. And then after that, you got into the tier once you got to pick like 7 and 8, or I believe that's where you had like David Njoku, OJ Howard, which I mean, I was making the horrible mistake taking those tight ends then, but regardless, I mean, that was really the last season we had where you didn't have a consensus top, I want to say 3 or 4 rookies. I don't even want to go 3 or 4 rookies, 2 or 3 rookies. Most of the time you have someone that you know is going at the 101 nearly every single draft. So I think that while yes, this draft class is shaping up to say we don't not necessarily have a clear-cut consensus 101, historically speaking, very rarely is that the case by the time we get to June. I know at this point we want to act like we have such a strong understanding of what this rookie class is to bring, where in reality I think that we're kind of flying in blind at this point. And yeah, we'll have a lot more analysis once we get to the combine with these running backs in particular, because obviously the combine matters for running back. It doesn't matter too much for receiver, especially once we also get just closer projections on NFL draft capital. And here, let me just give a shout out to this Deontay Johnson pick. Richie Rich, my man, I have to throw some shade on you. If you're telling me right now you're in a dynasty league and you have the rookie pick 102 and someone comes up to you and says, hell, I give you Deontay Johnson for the rookie pick 102, are you not laughing them off? Like, why are we taking Deontay Johnson here over the second kicker off the board? That's not necessarily something I understand. Goku coming out says, in a real draft, do you ever go solicit trades or do you wait for them to come to you? I'm going to give you a very bad answer with this. And I actually just had to talk about this on Patreon, I believe like 3 days ago. At this point, based on how many dynasty leagues I am in, I can no longer go and join any dynasty league that's not going to be a Flock Patreon dynasty league. I mean, we already run 20 plus dynasty leagues with our Patreon community. I'm in every single one. That takes up so much of my time that I'm already having to cut out every dynasty league that I don't have that's a Flock Patreon league. So every startup that I'm in, at least over the past 2 years, has been with the listeners of this channel. And the majority of those are going to be live drafts. So usually how that will work is we'll have the optionality to be able to go through and to be able to make trades for about the first week leading up into the startup draft. You'll have about a week buffer of when you open up with your draft order, and then by the time you get to the live draft, because if you join a Flock Patreon Dynasty League, we are not going to have slow drafts. What we usually do, given the fact that we have so many people that are wanting in these leagues, in these Patreon communities, I'm able to go through and I'm able to say, hell, we're going to have a Dynasty startup draft. And of course, I'm just giving an example here. We're going to have one February 10th at 6 p.m. Eastern. We're going to go live for the first 2 hours of the draft. We're going to draft like 12 rounds or however fast we can get through the first 2 hours. And then it will switch to a slow draft after. And it's nice and it's bad for 2 different reasons. It's a lot harder to get deals going whenever the draft is live because I'm live streaming, obviously, where I can react to deals that get sent to us, but I'm not going to be able to be in a live stream, commentate the draft, and then also go through and say, okay, well, JN here, I mean, he is on the clock with the 606. I mean, I see that we have, let me throw a player out, Jerry Jeudy falling, and I really want me to go get Jerry Jeudy. Let me go through and let me offer him. I can't do that if it's a 60-second timer and I'm live streaming. So during that week leading up to the draft, I'll be going through and I'll be trying to figure out what pockets of the draft range I want to be in. If I want to load up on as many third-round picks as possible, if I want to just make sure that we have the majority of our picks before we get to round 9. And these are just examples, of course. I'll figure out what range I want to be in, and then I'll go out there and aggressively send trades. But during the draft itself, it's very hard for me to do so. Okay, so now we are back up on the clock. If we were to take a rookie pick, we would be taking the 104. So we have to ask ourselves, do we want Russell Wilson or the 104? Probably want Wilson. At running back, do we want Cam Akers? Is actually a lot more intriguing now, considering the fact that he should be back and playing at the end of the year here. Do we want DJ Moore or do we want the rookie pick 104? Or do we want Kelsey or the rookie pick 104? we have a little bit of a younger team. I think Kelsey is a decent value here, but considering the fact that we have the 101, we have AJ Brown and Kyler Murray, so more so long-term assets. We're going to reach on someone. We're going to reach on Cam Akers. Now, I was going through, and we've had a wild ride with Cam Akers. I mean, this is a running back that before the injury, I had as my Dynasty running back 4 overall. And I know y'all are tired of hearing me say that, but the reason for it is Cam Akers was, I mean, incredibly young in that 2020 draft class. If y'all don't remember Akers, he was actually a 5-star player going to Florida State. I mean, he was disappointing in Florida State, but he played behind the worst offensive line in college football. Then we loved him in rookie drafts because if you looked at our main boxes that we look for, he had the draft capital, which indicated that he was going to get opportunity his rookie season. He had the elite athletic profile. Not only did he have those two things, but to go along with this, he also was a great pass catcher at FSU if you were looking at his college target share, and he had the BMI to be a 3-down running back. Now, all those boxes combined with a very strong rookie season, also the fact that we loved that Los Angeles Rams offense once you had Matthew Stafford coming over. I was in love with Cam Akers. Once he tears his Achilles, I'm sounding the red alarm saying sell low, sell low, sell low. Look at just what we have had with historical references for running backs with torn Achilles. They're never able to make it back. But for Cam Akers to potentially come back and play today, I know a lot of people are going to be watching this after that Rams and Cardinals game, so we'll know how it goes. But for him to be able to come back and play at the end of 2021, I think that really shows just nicely for his 2022 campaign going into year 3, still an extremely young running back. You'll have Sony Michel as a free agent this upcoming offseason. Sony Michel will most likely be leaving Los Angeles, and then you'll only have Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson. Darrell Henderson has been phased out near the end of the season. Of course, that's with an injury as well. So I'm going to be taking Akers. I know that you have some other running backs on the board that a lot of people are going to prefer, as in Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry. Now, I'm going to prefer the running back. That's what Cam Akers is 22 years old at this point. Yeah, I'm going to prefer the 22-year-old running back compared to the 28-year-old running back in Derrick Henry. So yeah, give me Akers. I know it's going to be a reach. It is what it is. Maybe I'm just rooting for my guy. But, I mean, I think at this point, I just want as much Cam Akers in my life as possible. Okay, so Justin coming out says, Mason, would you do a video regarding contract outs for older players? Are you looking at stats of average age for contract cuts and how injury factors in? I don't necessarily think that's a video that I would be able to make because there are so many different variables that would be hard to look up in that, where I think it's a lot easier just to go through and look at contracts. I mean, throughout the entire landscape of those secondary players. I mean, go and look at someone like Amari Cooper, who would actually have been a cut candidate this offseason if it wasn't for the fact that, I mean, you do have Michael Gallup with the devastating injury, but now I believe they're probably just going to eat it and pay Amari Cooper the $22 million and not cut him for, I believe they were going to be able to save $16 million. But in the other instance, if you look at Jarvis Landry, while there's really nobody in Cleveland at the receiver position, especially once they let Odell Beckham Jr. go, they could save $15 million by cutting Jarvis Landry. So I think you have to take it case by case if we're going to be completely honest. Now, I know most people are probably going to want us to go through and take Derrick Henry. I understand it. Yes, Derrick Henry, obviously a very, very, very talented running back. I mean, I guess maybe we can make the argument for it whenever we have AJ Brown as well in the second round. So we're going through and we're building in correlation in our starting lineup. I think instead, maybe we just pivot over and go DJ Moore. DJ Moore is still very young. I passed on him in the last Dynasty startup draft that we did. And I think that maybe we are just, yeah, we're going to go DJ Moore. I mean, we're taking him over the rookie pick 104 here. I mean, I think with DJ Moore, we are holding the late season failures against them maybe a little too harshly. I mean, still, this is a receiver that if you look at his age-adjusted production, I mean, he still is near the very top of the NFL. He was drafted at an incredibly young age in that 2018 NFL draft class, still only 24 years old. So let's take DJ Moore. G Hall coming out says got offered J.K. Dobbins, Jalen Waddle, DJ Chark, the 101, the 112, and the 208 for Dalvin Cook, Stephon Diggs, and Calvin Ridley. Okay, I'm going to prefer J.K. Dobbins over Dalvin Cook. I mean, if we're pulling up our dynasty rankings right now at the running back position, you're going to see that we actually have them, I mean, in the same exact tier. I think we can remove both of them from this deal. We have them in tier 4 based on the age difference between the two running backs. And I know I'm an ageist at the running back position. I get it. I'm always going to be the guy that's willing to hold on to the receivers a little bit too long, sell the running backs a little too early. I think JN taking Derrick Henry at the 507 is a completely fair value for Derrick Henry. So let's remove J.K. Dobbins and Dalvin Cook, and then let's look over Jalen Waddle, DJ Chark, the 101 and the 112 for Stephon Diggs and Calvin Ridley. I think if you're looking at Jalen Waddle and Stephon Diggs in Dynasty, there's going to be very similar receivers. If you run over to Patreon real quick, pull up my Dynasty rankings. We have both receivers in tier 4. I mean, it's Jalen Waddle, Deebo Samuel, and Stephon Diggs in that tier in our Dynasty rankings. I think we're fair to move those receivers out of the deal as well. So if we're looking at the leftover aftermath, we have the 101, the 112, the 208, and DJ Chark for Calvin Ridley. I mean, I actually like Calvin Ridley as a buy low player right now, but I'm definitely going to prefer just going through and taking the rookie pick 101, the 112, and the 208 over Calvin Ridley. Okay. So now let's go through and see. Okay, so we got Robbie Gould going. I believe this is the rookie pick 104. And I mean, if you're looking just what you've seen pretty much every offseason leading up to startup drafts, rookie picks are going to be going a lot earlier than this. I think that these rookie picks are eventually going to work their way up the board. I mean, at this point, you got rookie pick 105 going. I think those are fantastic values. I mean, I think we could consider taking the rookie pick 104 over DJ Moore. We got people talking about Bijan Robinson in the chat. Obviously, looking like the 101 if it's not Jackson Smith Enigma next year. I think Jackson Smith and Bijan Robinson, it's going to be very similar to the class that we had in 2015 with Todd Gurley and Amari Cooper. And it's essentially, do you want one of the best wide receiver prospects of all time, or do you want one of the best running back prospects of all time? The 2023 draft class is going to be very exciting, of course. Okay, so Will is up on the clock. Darren Waller, T.J. Hawkinson looking like great values at this point. I mean, I think tight ends definitely went a little bit too late here if we're just talking about, I mean, especially with these starting lineup requirements. Obviously, the starting lineup requirements don't matter too much. Okay, so here we got Michael Pittman going. This is going through and just exemplifying exactly why I think these rookie picks are going a little bit too late yet again. I mean, here you have Michael Pittman going before the rookie pick 106. How many of y'all in a 12-team Dynasty Superflex League would be offered the rookie pick 106 for Michael Pittman and then go through and decline it? I'd be very surprised if that many of y'all are doing it. I would prefer. I mean, if it was a one quarterback league there, I think you can have a conversation between the 106 and Michael Pittman. But in a 12-team Superflex format, give me the 106 over Pittman, definitely. Okay. So you got Devonta Smith going at the 512. Interesting pick. One thing that I think we have to look at with this Philadelphia Eagles situation. Now, y'all know I love Jalen Hurts in the 2020 draft class, given the rushing upside that he had. I mean, we were saying if he ever got the chance to start in the NFL, he was a player that you were automatically putting into your starting lineup, which ended up being true based on that rushing upside. The issue is Philadelphia has 3 first-round picks this upcoming year. They have 3 first-round picks. I mean, the investment that they have into Jalen Hurts, it isn't crazy by any means. I think you could easily see this team deciding to go through and potentially maybe pivot off of Jalen Hurts and say, take someone like Kenny Pickett, take someone like Matt Corral if they fall in the middle of the first round and almost just have a full-on battle for that quarterback 1 spot. Okay, so TJ Hawkinson goes to the 603. Let's go through. Let me pull up my Dynasty rankings so we can make a better pick here. I think that Cam Akers pick was honestly pretty bad. Yeah, I wish we could go back and remove that Cam Akers pick. Honestly, think that we should have just taken Dalvin Cook. I know Dalvin Cook is significantly older. I'm just very excited for Cam Akers tonight. If y'all can't tell, I have Cam Akers in so many Dynasty leagues, and I thought that we were just dead in the water with Cam Akers given the injury, and just to see him come back at the end of the season here. Very excited. I think that this was a pick that had a lot of bias in it. I think this Cam Akers selection was really bad. I think we should have gone with either a rookie pick, or if we didn't want to go with the rookie pick, we should have gone with Russell Wilson or Dalvin Cook. Yeah, this Cam Akers pick is very, very bad. I wish we could go back and as soon as we make these live streams and make these picks and edit them over, and I could just write bad on this. So I know anybody who watches this and maybe stops watching in the middle of the 5th round goes, oh, Mason loves Cam Akers here in the 4th. Honestly, I think that was a very bad selection. Okay. But that's why we're doing these mock drafts. That's why we're doing these mock drafts, so we can figure this stuff out. Okay, so now, how many rookie picks have gone off? We took the 101. Then here you have the 102, the 103, the 104, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so if we were going to be taking a rookie pick here, it would be the 8th pick in the first round. I'm definitely not going to be considering that. I'm not taking a rookie pick here. Tom Brady at the 607. I think we're going to be buying Darren Waller here. I mean, with Darren Waller, this is someone that if you're looking at the opportunity that he had pretty much every single week, he was getting flooded with targets. Now, I know that he had a down stretch in the middle of the year, not coming away with many touchdowns. We know touchdown volatility is something that we should be fading on a year-to-year basis. And with Darren Waller at the same time, this is someone that his offense is going to have to look at him heavily this upcoming season. They really don't have any other options. Even if they go through and say sign someone like Juju Smith-Schuster in free agency, even if they sign someone like Chris Godwin in free agency, Darren Waller is still going to be a tight end getting 20% of his team's targets. Take him here at the 608 when he's only 29 years old, and we know tight ends can last a little bit longer than other positions. I'm going to be completely fine with. Jay saying he loves that Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, with CEH, let me pull up where I have him in our Dynasty rankings right now. I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire at running back 18. I have him in the same tier, guys like Jacobs, Jones, Fournette, Ezekiel Elliott. With Clyde Edwards-Helaire, obviously still very young. I mean, this is a running back that was drafted in 2020 in the first round, so he still does have 2 years mandatory on that rookie contract and the fifth-year option as well. And obviously in a great offense to go along with all of that. The issue is he's just been so damn bad. I think it's a fine pick. I just don't want to act like I think it's the best pick ever when you could have gotten someone like Darren Waller. Okay. So Elijah Mitchell goes to the 6'10". I really like that people have kind of auto-corrected on Leonard Fournette and Elijah Mitchell with where they were going earlier. I mean, when we started doing these Dynasty startup drafts, you were getting guys like Leonard Fournette going at the middle of the fourth round here. You're getting Leonard Fournette going before Travis Etienne in some drafts. I think it's definitely a good idea to be pushing those running backs down if you're just looking at the uncertain job security that they have next year in those offenses. I mean, with Leonard Fournette, obviously, he's going to have a starting job somewhere. Just the question is that going to be in Tampa? Okay, Connor says, do you think a 16-team Superflex Dynasty League will work? Hell yeah, it'll work. In my opinion, I think a 16-team Superflex Dynasty League, there's no better way to play Dynasty Fantasy Football. Now, I mean, we actually had a Flock Patreon, our original Flock Patreon Dynasty League. It ended up failing. It was a 16-team Superflex, points per carry, tiered PPR, tight end premium, Devy. I mean, it had so many different aspects to it. I love the fact that it was a 16-team Superflex League because we were able to go through and just dominate positional value. We just went quarterback. I mean, just understand that if you were in a 16-team Dynasty League, like Matthew Stafford needs to be going before Eckler. He needs to be going before Kamara. He needs to be going before Lamb. He needs to be going, before Christian McCaffrey. Matthew Stafford's a first-round pick in that format just because quarterbacks are going to dry up so quickly that you need to be coming away with, in a 16-team Superflex Dynasty League, I'm taking Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray. I'm taking the majority of these quarterbacks all ahead of Jonathan Taylor. And, once you get into a 16-team Superflex League, you'll understand. We got DeAndre Hopkins going to the 703. Hopkins was going to be our target in this upcoming round. Now that kind of screws us trying to figure out where we're going to go from here. We got Carter. We could decide to take a quarterback. Let me pull up my startup rankings. Okay, so if we're looking at Patreon right now with my best players available, we currently have Zeke as the best running back on the board. Receivers, we have, I believe, Hollywood Brown as the best option. Yeah, we have Hollywood Brown as the best option at the receiver position. We're not going to be taking a tight end as we already have Darren Waller. And if we're going to go over to quarterback, okay, so let's remember this. We have a Hollywood, Zeke, and at quarterback, Tannehill is the best option. I think we're actually going to end up going with Tannehill, especially when we have Jalen Hurts here. So we're going to be able to go through and build in that stack. I think Tannehill does have an extremely secure job this upcoming season. So let's take Ryan Tannehill here at the 705. I'm going to prefer Tannehill over Derek Carr, and quite confidently as well. Justin says, I love A.J. Dillon in the 6th or the 7th round. Harris worries me due to Stevenson's clear ability. Carter also solid in the 7th. Yeah, I'll agree with you. With Damien Harris, I want to say one thing real quick. I know everybody is going out there and freaking out on Twitter going, oh my God, Damien Harris, best graded PFF running back up. Have y'all ever gone through and looked at how PFF ratings actually correlate to fantasy football success? Seriously. Like that's a valid question I want to ask y'all. I think what matters a lot more is the running back's ability to play on all 3 downs. I think what matters a lot more is the running back's ability to be able to get targets out of the backfield and not be in a committee. Where Damien Harris, sure, he may be PFF's best graded running back. Who the hell cares if he's in a committee with Ramondre Stevenson? I do not care at all. Okay. So I actually really like this draft that we've had so far. As I've said, I think the mistake that we made in this draft is going with an emotional pick of Cam Akers at the 408. I think here this team would be significantly better if instead of going Cam Akers, we decided to grab a different running back here, whether that's Nick Chubb or Dalvin Cook. I mean, I think we overreacted to Cam Akers coming back today. I think we overreacted due to age here, and we just overthought it in general. Okay, so now Brandon Ayuk goes at the 709. Fair value with Ayuk. And where did we have Ayuk in our startup rankings? I have Brandon Ayuk at wide receiver 24. Okay, compared to Hollywood Brown at wide receiver 20. So they're right there. Gosh, if you're looking at my startup rankings, there are a lot of rankings that are completely different than this draft. Yeah, we have Aaron Jones going at... Where did he end up going? We have him ranked as running back 21. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm not going to count that out. Aaron Jones goes before Zeke. Zeke was our best ranked running back, but that's only by a difference of 2 spots. I mean, our running back rankings in order go Zeke, Aaron Jones, Leonard Fournette. I'm sorry, Zeke, Leonard Fournette, then Aaron Jones. Okay. So I believe this is the rookie pick 109. I took the 101, then the 102, the 103, the 104, the 105, the 106, the 107, the 108, the 109. And then Amara St. Brown at the 801. I can't get behind it. This is why I'm saying to go through and sell St. Brown. I understand, yes, he was a league-winning wide receiver at the end of the year, but they had no Hawkinson. They had no DeAndre Swift. They had nobody to throw the ball to. They had the worst receiving core in the entire NFL. They have a ton of cap space to address the position this upcoming offseason. Not only do they have a ton of cap space, but they have a lot of resources in the NFL draft as well. So Amara St. Brown has to dodge multiple bullets. He has to dodge the NFL draft. First he has to dodge free agency. And I know you're going to ask, who the hell wants to go to Detroit? Nobody, but if you're going to pay them $20 million to go there, they're going to sign up and they're going to be happy to do so. And then they also have to go through and dodge the NFL draft. Which they have extra picks this year in that NFL draft. And then even if he's able to do that, which he's not going to be able to, by the way, they're going to bring in someone. Then he still has to compete for targets with TJ Hawkinson, DeAndre Swift coming into this offense and one of the worst offenses in the NFL. I can't get behind Amara St. Brown at the 801. Okay. So you got A.J. Dillon, Ezekiel Elliott going off at the 804, the 805. I think both are great picks. Here, this is the 110. So you have to ask yourself, would you prefer the 110 or Ezekiel Elliott? Darnell Mooney goes to JN at the 806. I can't get behind the Darnell Mooney pick. I think there are multiple players I'd prefer on the board right now. Like I'd prefer, even Zach Wilson. Y'all know I don't like Zach Wilson, but come on. Okay, so now receiver. So you have the rookie pick 111. I think maybe we end up going Leonard Fournette. With Fournette, I kind of view him as, say, discount Dalvin Cook, discount Joe Mixon. They're in the same draft class. Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey. They're all in that 2017 draft class. With Leonard Fournette, y'all know we were laughing whenever he was going in the 3rd round, saying that was just very bad considering the fact that he does not have a contract this upcoming season. If we're looking at our running back rankings right now, we have Leonard Fournette ranked as running back 20 in Dynasty. Let me see the best available. I guess Tua is pretty interesting in a super flex format here. We could go with our 3rd quarterback. I want to treat this as a regular Dynasty league. In a regular Dynasty league, I'm not worrying about positional scarcity, and instead I'm just worrying about value. I'm actually going to take Tua. We're going to take Tua Tagovailoa as our quarterback 3. Not expecting to use that rookie pick 101 to select a quarterback. If we were to end up having Matt Corral as the best quarterback available, the best player available at the 101, and that's what consensus comes to in May, then I'll just go through and I'll go ahead and trade that rookie pick 101 for a different option. Please let me know what y'all think. Ignore team construction. I will tell you right now, there's a solid chance I am not drafting another running back in this draft when we only have Cam Akers. And I know we're going to have a lot of people coming out saying, oh, this team's horrible. How do you only have Cam Akers as your only starting running back? What are you going to do at running back 2? Who the hell cares? It's January. We have over 200 days until we have to submit a starting lineup. Do you have any idea how the Dynasty offseason works, with how many trades you're going to be able to make, with how many variables are going to change, especially at a position that is mainly dictated by opportunity as running back? So, no, I'm not going to take another running back this draft unless there's one at an absurd value. Who would you prefer? Would you prefer Tua Tagovailoa? Would you prefer Leonard Fournette or the rookie pick 112? Okay, so Hunter Renfrow at the 811. Zach Wilson goes to the 812. Does every team have? Interesting. No, you have 3 teams here at the very end of the draft that only have 1 quarterback. Jan says he's going win now. Jan, if you're going win now, I'm taking Leonard Fournette over Darnell Mooney, definitely. Okay, so I believe that's the rookie pick 201. I prefer a couple of these players. Let me go through and let y'all know who my highest ranked players across positions are. So quarterback, I believe our highest ranked option is going to be Kirk Cousins. Yeah, Kirk Cousins, quarterback 21, is our highest ranked option. We're not going to be taking him, however, given the fact that we already have 3. At running back, I believe we should have Miles Sanders as our highest ranked option. We have Miles Sanders at running back 26. Compared to that to James Conner at running back 27. Damian Harris does need to move up, I will admit that. But no, we're not going to be going with Damian Harris. Miles Sanders would be our top option. I believe we probably have Chase Claypool, Rashad Bateman ranked back-to-back in these rankings real quick. Let me go through and check. Yeah, we have Rashad Bateman, wide receiver 28, Chase Claypool, wide receiver 29 as our next 2 wide receivers. Where do we have Michael Thomas? Yeah, we have Michael Thomas down there at wide receiver 35. Jan, just to let you know, I have Michael Thomas, Chase Claypool, Rashad Bateman, all ranked ahead of Darnell Mooney. I know I'm an idiot. Trust me, I get it. But just to put that out there. Let me double check. Where do we have Tyler Lockett? We have Tyler Lockett at wide receiver 34. Yeah, and I also have Rashad Bateman and Chase Claypool ranked ahead of Amara St. Brown. I know people are going to hate that as well. I really think St. Brown was just more given the fact that that team had nobody else to go to. We're most likely taking a receiver here. We've only drafted 2. We do have the rookie pick 101, which at this point looks like it's going to be Treylon Burks, but who the hell knows? Jayan says he should get a sign that says, I hate Darnell Mooney behind him. I honestly should, but what I can do that's even better is I could probably go to Darnell Mooney's points per games in weeks 1 through 16. So the regular season historically for fantasy football. And we can look at a points per game basis and see that Darnell Mooney was the wide receiver 37. So technically, I don't want to get in technicalities here, but he was a high-end wide receiver 4, low-end wide receiver 3 this past year. I don't want to get into technicalities, but with Darnell Mooney, he's also the same age as DJ Moore. Like, I can't get behind the Darnell Mooney hype. You got Noah Fant going. Okay, we are on the board here. Like I said, we got Chase Claypool and Rashad Bateman ranked back-to-back. We are going to take Bateman here at the 905. With Bateman, has showed some flashes, but obviously he had a disappointing flame out at the end of the season. But you do have Sammy Watkins as a free agent this upcoming year. Okay. I guess we honestly could have gone Miles Sanders. Maybe we got tunnel vision with Bateman there. The issue with Sanders, they just have so many resources they can pour into the position this upcoming season. Off season. Dylan decides to go with another kicker. Let me see how many rookie picks have gone off. Okay, so you have the 101, the 102, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so this was the 201. This was the first pick in the second round, going right before Michael Thomas. Johnny says Amara St. Brown is a steal at that spot. I can't get behind it. I think with St. Brown, this is a receiver that, athleticism, draft capital, they don't really matter for slot wide receivers. But still, if we're looking at how the offense is going to be capped, and if we're looking at the fact that you just know for a damn fact that regardless if they sign anybody, there's going to be more target competition next year with the players just getting healthy, and then throw on the fact that they're definitely not going to just go into the season with guys like Quintus Cephas as every down players. I think that with St. Brown, I'm going to be very worried. Jaden says with Justin Fields and Matt Nagy. Another thing that I think we're just going to be talking about all offseason here is while, yes, you can blame the Chicago Bears offense failing on Matt Nagy, while, yes, you can blame the Jacksonville Jaguars offense failing on Urban Meyer, while, yes, you can go through and blame the New York Giants offense failing on Joe Judge. In reality, it's a lot easier said than done to find a coach that can fix an offensive environment. Like, there's a reason that those coaches have jobs, or at least had jobs this past year. It's because to go out there and find a Kyle Shanahan, to go out there and find an Andy Reid, find someone that's going to be able to just have a creative offense environment that's going to positively impact the players around them. It's damn near impossible in the NFL. It's a lot easier said than done. Like, I know everybody in this live stream thinks they can go and run into Jacksonville right now or run into Chicago and fix the mess of Urban Meyer, fix the mess of Matt Nagy, but it's probably one of the hardest jobs in the United States. I bet it's harder than being the president, if we're going to be completely honest. Obviously, that's a joke. Please don't think I'm serious with that. Okay, so James says Darnell Mooney was better with Andy Dalton under center. Like, see, conversations like this, these are conversations for if you're creating a team in Madden. Is Andy Dalton going to be under center this next year? No, it's going to be Justin Fields. Like, y'all know I don't like Justin Fields. Y'all know I don't like Justin Fields. I don't want to be coming out here and saying anything positive about him. But at the end of the day, I mean, why are we talking about what Darnell Mooney was with Andy Dalton if Justin Fields is going to be the starting quarterback next year? Got Mike Williams going at the 10:01, Chase Edmonds at the 10:02. Really don't like this Chase Edmonds pick. I mean, with Chase Edmonds, he is a free agent this upcoming offseason, but I think I would prefer the rookie pick 202 over Chase Edmonds every time. I'd prefer the rookie pick 202 over Rashad Penny as well. I'm not a fan of Damian Harris, but y'all may have me taking Damian Harris here in the 10th. I mean, I think 90% of startups that you're doing, Damian Harris is going rounds before this. Okay, let me go through and let y'all know who my highest ranked player is across every position on Patreon. Okay, so at tight end here, I believe our highest ranked guy is actually, I know not many people are going to like this, Cole Kmet. We have Cole Kmet at tight end 10, Gronk at tight end 11. At receiver, our highest ranked option is going to be, it definitely is Tyler Lockett, right? Yeah, it's Tyler Lockett. Mike Williams was the highest ranked guy at 33. Tyler Lockett's the next best at 34. Thielen's off the board already, is he? Adam Thielen is still available. Adam Thielen, I believe, is 3 spots down. No, actually, yeah, we got Tyler Lockett, wide receiver 34, and then Adam Thielen, wide receiver 37. And then at running back, our highest ranked player is going to be Damian Harris at running back 30. But honestly, I think we need to be moving Damian Harris up to running back 28. Harris goes to the 10:07. Lockett goes right before us as well. Gallup does. Okay, so I think Adam Thielen. Where do we have Robert Woods? Robert Woods 39. Adam Thielen 37. We may go off the board. We're going to go down in rankings a little bit, I think, to take Rondale Moore, just to get the Kyler Murray stack in, just get some excitement on this team. Not going to be taking Robinson, Hunt, Cordell Patterson. I don't like any of these options. I guess Devin Singletary is probably the best guy at this point. If we're talking about just strictly value and we're going to be able to go through and trade these guys this upcoming year, we're going to end up taking Carson Wentz. Obviously, Carson Wentz had a horrendous end to this past season, but he has guaranteed money. He is going to be a starting quarterback this upcoming year. Not only does he have guaranteed money, but the Indianapolis Colts do not have a first-round pick to be able to go through and invest into the quarterback position. Even if they did, I mean, the quarterback position in this draft class is very weak, so I think that there's a strong chance that Carson Wentz is going to be starting. If we're talking about Carson Wentz versus Adam Thielen, I really do think Carson Wentz is just going to have more dynasty trade value by the time we get to the beginning of the season. We got Ramondre Stevenson going at the 10:08. I'm sorry, the 10:09. Okay, so Ramondre Stevenson at the 10:09. I think we're actually probably going to end the draft here. Yeah, we've been live for almost an hour, and it looks like we only have 3 more picks left. Of course, thank you all so much, everybody on Patreon that was able to hop into this draft. I believe we did not have a single team auto draft in this entire one. So thank y'all so much for hanging out with us on this Monday. I hope that y'all were able to get helped out by this by determining some rookie draft pick value. And a reminder here, we made a mistake. This Cam Akers pick at the 408 was a bad selection. We should have gone a multitude of different ways with this. Actually, I guess they just added on a couple more rounds. We already started the outro, so we're just going to wrap this up as it stands. This Cam Akers pick was a pretty bad one. I think instead we should have gone with Russell Wilson. We should have gone with Dalvin Cook or Nick Chubb. Really, any of these three players, or even the rookie pick 104, would have been in consideration over Cam Akers. I think we made this pick based off emotion and emotion alone. Outside of that, looking at every other pick that we made in the startup draft, I 100% stand behind it, thinking that A.J. Brown, best value, the rookie pick 101 at this point of the offseason is the best value there. DJ Moore, Darren Waller. I love every pick that we made in this one, except that Cam Akers selection. But of course, thank y'all so much for hanging out with us in this draft. Hope y'all have a great day, and hope we get y'all